All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for episode 18 of The Buzz About East Brunswick. I'm Greg T, alongside of the Mr. Famous, Mr. Mayor. What's up, man? How you
good.
doing?
How are you?
You know what? I'm doing okay. I think I get more excited, not that I don't love the East Brunswick Library, but I really do enjoy being out and about on location. There's something else about the vibe of the podcast when we're at somewhere,
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. And plus it gives people a different viewpoint of the township and a different setting. I like that.
It certainly does. And today we are podcasting live from the East Brunswick Museum. You can find it at 16 Maple Street. I'm going to call it the historic area of East Brunswick.
It is. It's actually on the National Historic Registry.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Oh, see, yeah, that's great. Well, we're about to learn a lot from it. We have an East Brunswick historian, Mark Nonesteid, who oversees the museum, and he's written several books about East Brunswick, and we're going to get into both books that he's written, and that's great. And away we go. So what was your first reaction when you pulled up in front of the museum here?
I've been here before.
See, silly me. I have not. This is legitimately my first time ever being here.
Well, I think one of the things that often confused people was there used to be a sign in this area that said, "Welcome to the Old Bridge historic section."
Okay.
And that dates back to the history of the region. That bridge is the Old Bridge.
Oh,
but it's officially East Brunswick Township.
Gotcha.
So it was the Old Bridge section of East Brunswick. Nobody even knows that.
I didn't know.
So we just ditched that sign, got rid of that.
Okay.
Old Bridge could stay in Old Bridge. And,
you're putting your mark all over this place. That's it.
Well, I didn't put my picture there. And it's East Brunswick, but it's the historic section. It's been around for a long time. A large portion of the history of this region dates back to this section of town, not Route 18, this long preceded Route 18. And I even actually do a whole segment on the history of East Brunswick. When I meet with third graders every year, we get to talk to them about East Brunswick and about government.
Okay.
And I always tell them that I know your parents always talked about East Brunswick. You think that every part of it is a little section off of Route 18. But we're called the Garden State.
Yeah.
And and our date goes back to 1860 when we were founded.
Wow.
And what would East Brunswick look like if you thought you were walking through East Brunswick in 1860? Because I can guarantee you, Route 18 was not there. Most of the developments that you live in were not there.
Right.
And by the way, everybody who's complaining about new apartments coming in, when all those new developments were moving in, nobody wanted them either.
Right.
So nobody ever wants somebody new.
No one ever wants something new. You're right. Exactly.
And it's interesting to see what a lot of these kids come up with. And I said, well, how did all of the buildings that were built in New York City in the late 1800s, early 1900s, bricks and lumber and stone, all had to be brought in,
of course,
to build that. I said, where do you think most of that came from?
Yeah.
Oh, they think for a second. Of course, they realize I'm waiting for them to say East Brunswick in this region. It's the right answer. And I said, well, you know what? Cars weren't even invented till 1909. So how did they get all that stuff to New York City from here?
I'm really impressed with your knowledge of the East Brunswick history. I guess I took it for granted. I'm like, well, he's the mayor. But man, you know what? It's something else to be the mayor and also be a historian yourself.
Well, I'm not a historian. We have historians here. We're going to be speaking to them.
Right.
But I think that's a problem today, is that a lot of kids don't understand their history. And whether we're talking about American history, which in the greater scheme of the things, by next year will be 250 years old. In terms of world history, it's a baby.
Right.
And they don't know that. But world history in general, all these conflicts that are going on in the world, they all have a history of those regions. To just take a side or to take a stand without understanding all of that is really irresponsible.
Well, listen, blame me. I'm irresponsible. I'm not teaching my kids very well. I'm not notifying them about the history. I leave it to the school to teach them, so I'm doing a really bad job. I should be doing a much better job. I got to brush up on it.
We've got a lot of work to do on history.
But you're right. We take it for granted.
We take it for granted, and if you don't get it in a 30-second TikTok,
you're right.
Then it's too much work.
No, you're right. That is the way we all are living today. We are. Anyway, we are here today. We have a couple of things to go to. First and foremost, how was your weekend?
Oh,
I saw that you were busy. You were always on social media.
Yeah. Well, I want to post the things that were going. It was a lot of things that went on in town.
Yeah.
And to get all of them was hard, but I did.
Yeah.
And it was really just a very busy weekend between the Korean church that's in town celebrating 50 years.
Yeah,
here.
how'd that go?
It was beautiful.
Nice.
And I can't pass up Asian food. It was great.
I saw some of the pictures. It all
and
looked
then on
good.
top of that, then they had the festival over at the Coptic church at St. Mary's.
Okay.
And I love Middle Eastern food, so they all want to feed you. So I think I packed on 20 pounds this weekend just in everybody wanting to feed me.
Yeah.
But it was great.
And how was your ride in? Now, I know that everybody here in East Brunswick is complaining about traffic, constant traffic, and I get my traffic updates. So any updates on what's going on with Route 18?
Well, the Route 18 project is going to be it was a 4-year project from the beginning. Actually, it was a 3-year project. We added the water lines, so made it a 4-year project. And it's proceeding. Right now, they're a little ahead of schedule. They're expecting to be done the beginning of 2027. They may be ahead of schedule, but that's very dependent on things like weather, which you can't control.
Right. But it's still good to hear that they could be ahead of schedule.
It could be
a lot of people are going to want to hear that.
But there's also work that just needs to be done in the meantime that they're not going to wait for the 18 project to finish.
Right.
And while people are complaining right now about a lot of projects that all seem to converge at the same time, that's true, they have. And some of them were things we planned for, like the county road work that was planned. But PSE&G had to do some of their line work that they just tell you that they're coming in, and they'd work with us to try to work around the projects that might already be scheduled, but they're not going to not do it. So we have to work with them. They have those lines. They have the right-of-ways to use them. They have the right-of-ways to fix them.
Sure.
If you don't do them, there's going to be service interruptions over time, so people would complain then.
Oh, and you don't want to have like everything all nice and paved, and all of a sudden we start going back out, and you're re-drilling again. You don't want to do that.
If I was a real politician, I would be told, "Oh, Brad, you should go out there and say no, and then and look like you're standing up for the residents." And then what happens? PSE&G goes to the BPU, and the BPU says you have to do it, and then you can go back to the residents and say, "Look, they're forcing us to do it." If I wanted an Oscar, I would have gone into theater. I didn't do that. I'm not a performance artist. I'm telling you the truth. I've always done that from the beginning.
You have.
And that's the way I roll.
I agree. I think that we can all count, I've learned so much about it through 18 episodes that you really are upfront and honest with everything that's going on.
Right now, it's a railroad issue.
I was just going to bring that up. Didn't something else just happen today?
That one came in. It was known 3 years ago that they would ultimately, when they're ready, be here and do it. They notified us that we're on the docket. We worked with them to make sure it didn't overlap county projects that were already done. But it's a Conrail, it's federal. They want Trump to come in with the frickin' National Guard it's going to be done. So stop already. You'll get to work 5 minutes later, or you might need to wake up 10 minutes early. Stop.
Yeah, I get you.
What lesson are you teaching your kids that you can't cope?
Nope, you're right. Okay, all right. We're all taking
Calm down, Nostame.
Let's talk about something nice and easy like EB Day, which is this coming Sunday. Like that's going to be a lot of fun.
That'll be a lot, and I don't want to say anything because I'll give myself a kinahor. That's a Yiddish word for like the bad things are going to happen if you say it.
Okay.
But right now, the weather looks.
It does look really nice.
But we're not going to say that.
And well, it's going to cooperate because I'm also hearing that you are going to be in the dunk tank at East Brunswick Day.
I am. So for all those people that are mad at the roads, you know what? It'll be a $5 throw.
I was thinking the same thing.
And it'll go to EB Education Foundation and the Mayor's Charity Fund.
Oh, great.
And if you want to get back at me,
that's where you do it.
That's
at the dunk tank at East Brunswick Day.
There you go.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that some of the funds for the dunk tank were going to go to those two charities, which is fantastic. That's good to know.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
And we have a whole lineup of people in town that are going to volunteer to be in the dunk tank. But I'm bringing up the rear so that anybody that's got their frustration, you want to take it out on me. There you go.
I know that you invited me to be the donkey, and I want to say thank you very much for that as well. And you picked the right guy.
You're just a chicken.
I won't believe the amount of times that I've been the donkey. I'm like a veteran. I'm a veteran at being a dunk tank.
You teach a course on it,
It's
right?
a lot of fun. I'm very good at it. I know the things to say to rile people up. I love my favorite line. I stole it from a movie. I go, you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat. And people are like, and they start throwing the balls, But unfortunately, I won't be there. It's Parents' Weekend at University of Alabama, where my daughter goes to college. So we're going to be leaving on Friday, and I won't be flying home until Sunday. So I won't even be able to be at East Brunswick Day. And I really wanted to. I'm sorry. I really did want to be there.
But you got to go.
I got to go. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be the donkey.
No, you got to go. Your daughter would never forgive you.
Well, listen, so we've got a lot to get to. And what were you saying when you walked in about the table that we're podcasting off of? This particular table.
Historically, this dates back to some of the first council meetings that we had in town. It was done here, and it was done on this table.
Wow. History right here at the table.
That's right.
Very good, very good. And I was talking to Mark earlier, and I asked him about whether or not they've ever had a podcast here. They never have. So we are the first legit podcast to ever grace the history of this museum.
We are now officially part of East Brunswick history.
Enshrined in history right here. Here we are. All right, guys. So let's take another look inside and around East Brunswick. And when we get back, we're going to bring on Mark Nonesteid, and we're going to talk about the books, talk about the museum, and talk about the actual history of East Brunswick. It's all happening right here on the Buzz About East Brunswick. And now, this is In and Out East Brunswick. Hey, it's me, Greg T, Mr. EB, at a brand new park in East Brunswick. Country Lane has been improved. This is awesome.
We do like the uniqueness and the variety of the different things that the park has to offer versus some of the other East Brunswick parks. So the kids love it. We're excited to have the new variety.
You can picnic here, you can play basketball, and you can play some tennis.
My little guy said he wants to come to this park every day.
I wish I had this as a kid. Country Lane Park. There's a lot going on in East Brunswick. All right, guys, and we are back with the Buzz About East Brunswick. Greg T, Mayor Cohen, Mark Nonesteid in the house here in the Museum of East Brunswick. And ladies and gentlemen, Mark Nonesteid has brought to us some really incredible books. One in particular is East Brunswick Through the Years, where he captures stories and moments in history that shaped the town that we know of today. And Mark, the mayor, and I, we thank you for being a part of the podcast today.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for being here and considering the museum and coming here. Appreciate
Very
it.
cool. And so was the mayor right? This is the town council table.
Yeah. We were just thinking about all the conversations that took place around a table like
Pretty
this.
cool. Pretty cool. Well, Mark, let's get to know you a little. Let's get to know a little bit about Mark Nonesteid, shall we?
Okay.
So, Mark, tell us a little something about yourself. Born and raised.
Raised in East Brunswick, born in Plainfield.
Right.
Lived there for a bit, but raised in East Brunswick, graduated from East Brunswick High School.
Oh.
Parents still live in East Brunswick as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
There a little tidbit here that I did not know. Insert foot in mouth for myself. So embarrassing.
You like that.
Bigfoot guy. So when I walked in, so Mark says, "Do you know me?" And I said, "Mark Nonesteid." And he says, "We went to high school together." And I said, "No way, are you kidding me?" And he says, "We did. We graduated the same
did.
year."
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a big graduating class.
Thank
right?
you for letting me off the hook that way.
So how big was the class?
Very nice. I'm going to say close to 700, but it wasn't, we didn't tip the scale. 650, 660, something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I remember the number being, something like that. It was up there. It really was. Do you still live here in East Brunswick?
Yes, yeah, just down the street, actually, in the historic district.
You do?
Yep,
So you live right here?
Yep.
Oh, wow. So you're living right here in history, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So now what sparked your first interest in the history of East Brunswick? What got you into it?
Well, I've always had an interest in history, but what made history real to me was when you can connect kind of what's happening nationally with what's going on in your community. Right? When you can make that connection, that's when it becomes very real. And East Brunswick has such a fascinating history, which we'll get to talk about. But it's making that connection to what's in your community, how that plays out on a larger scale in your county, in your state, and nationally as well.
Have you ever thought about running for mayor?
Actually, there is a book on mayors. Of
Yes,
East
the
Brunswick.
Historical Society put that together.
Who are some of the mayors that have come here before Mayor Cohen that stand out in history?
There's many. And actually the East Brunswick Historical Society has done a much better job at that, at listing and doing the history of all those mayors back to 1860. The town was created February 28th, 1860. So
Wow.
long history here, yeah.
Well, yeah, there you go. You think about all the mayors before you.
Yeah, that's another third grade thing they do.
Oh, yeah?
It's 1860. How long have we been around? You could see these kids trying to come up with the number.
And are there any mayors before you that stand out in the history of East Brunswick, Mayor Cohen?
There's a lot of people that have stood out. I mean, many of them were people who were elected in a different manner in which we do it today.
Oh, get out.
Because we were a different form of government,
Sure.
and often they would have a council, and they picked among themselves who would act as mayor. So it didn't really start until, I think, Alex Borman
Right, yeah.
was the first mayor elected in the manner in which we do it today, where you open the election to the general public to pick its mayor.
Oh, that is interesting.
Didn't think I knew that, did you?
I can't. You really. You stunned me with the amount of knowledge that you have about East Brunswick and history. I'm floored.
Well, that's
I
why
really am.
we have in the town courtroom, we have all of the pictures
Yeah.
that are lined up of all the mayors. But it starts with Borman because we really wanted to feature the mayors that were elected by the public.
Gotcha.
The others were elected among the people that were in the council. So it's not fair to say they were selected by the general population.
Right. Well, so Mark, what can you tell me? Give me something about East Brunswick, the rich history. What stands out to you that we can find in your books, some of your research?
Right, and so two books, really. The earlier one, both were published by Arcadia Press, one in the 1990s, and then the more recent one, also co-written with Ethan Reese, another historian here in East Brunswick who's done tremendous work at helping to tell the town's history. And we're also lucky that we're in this building which houses the story of East Brunswick, its history. This was originally we're in what was originally a Methodist church built in 1862.
I swear I was okay. I'm not kidding you. Not to cut you off. I was just gonna. My next question was this always a museum? What was this building?
Yeah, no,
so it was a Methodist church.
Yeah, formerly a church built in 1862, and now today houses East Brunswick's history. And it is a very diverse and range of objects and artifacts, some dating back thousands of years to when the native people were here. Right? We shouldn't forget, right? Before East Brunswick, there were people living here, Native Americans going back thousands of years, and there are objects and artifacts that have been found and continue to be found in the township that give testament to the fact that these folks were here. And we have those on display with objects up to the early 20th century.
What'd you bring to the table here?
Well, actually, I did bring some of the Native American objects.
Can I bring them forward?
Sure. Yeah. We have some made out of stone and clay,
Here you go.
but all found in East Brunswick. Some are small arrowheads and spear points. And we
Yeah,
have this
look at
massive,
that.
large axe as well as some ceramic items made from local clay. That's about 1,500 years old.
Don't break it.
I was so nervous just sliding it over. I was nervous. I didn't
Well,
want to be
obviously, it
disrespectful.
lasted that long, so they must have made it well, because today,
Yeah.
nothing really lasts any longer, right?
No, you're right.
This lasted 1,500 years.
Yeah, but to think about what was life like that,
Right.
that far back. I mean, that's just that was a whole different world for folks here. But what's interesting too, what kind of connects these objects to our modern history, and I brought this this kind of pressed decorative brick, which was made in a factory in East Brunswick in the early 1900s.
Like you said.
Off
Brick
of
factories.
Stratford Road.
Wow.
There was a company there called the Philadelphia and Boston Brick Face Company. They made decorative face brick for the front facades of buildings. But they all utilized the local clay. So whether it was the native people or whether it was during the Industrial Revolution, parts of East Brunswick has clay beds that were mined for the production of bricks, tiles, and architectural terracotta as well. It was one of the industries amongst all the farmlands here in East Brunswick at the time. So there's kind of great connections to history that's 1,000 years old, 100 years old, right up to today.
I mean, literally, I live on a street that's basically, for the first foot and a half or so, clay.
Yeah.
Which is why nothing really lasts, because the tree roots can't get below that. Across the street, sand. And you'll find that. There's areas where you just have this area where it's all clay, sand. Like, it changes.
Yeah, and it's because our town straddles two different kind of geographic regions. We have the outer coastal plains and the Piedmont region of New Jersey. So when you look at that, if you drive down Route 18, going south, and you get towards the Brunswick Square Mall, and you begin to go down the hill, right, you look out into the outer coastal plains. You can see for miles, and that's the sandy soil. And then as you come up the hill to where the mall is and the rest of East Brunswick, you're in the Piedmont region of New Jersey, which is described by fertile soil, some of the clay, the loam that's there. So yeah, it's the geographic regions that East Brunswick sits on.
Hey, Mark, so I do want to ask you about the local landmarks that could be interesting here in East Brunswick. Can you shed some light on some of those?
Sure. As the mayor mentioned, we are in a historic district, so there is a cluster of buildings here, approximately 80, some dating back to the 1700s up to the 1920s. A whole variety of different types of houses and architectural styles, including some that were purchased from Sears and Roebuck catalogs in the 1920s. That was a thing. You could buy your house through a Sears and Roebuck catalog.
Yeah, pretty soon you're going to do it on Amazon. So how far have we come?
Seriously.
One big circle.
Yeah, you're right. Because they're already selling cars that way. So houses are next. Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then and of course through the town, which was primarily again agricultural, right? We have kind of scattered farmhouses that survive today. Again, giving testament to the earlier history and the agricultural history of East Brunswick.
What about when you were writing your books? Did you have any local residents, families, or archives to help you out with the writing?
Yeah, and I want to say there's a whole army of folks that are part of this, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I do want to speak to the fact that the museum is a volunteer organization. It's made up of very passionate people that believe in preserving the history and helping to educate the people of East Brunswick about that. So it's a great board that does tremendous work. And also, folks that have been part of the organization that are no longer here, like Alberta Uhas, Grace Auer, William Kramer. I mean, these were individuals that were part of researching the history of East Brunswick. Estelle Goldsmith is great. She's
she's 102 now.
Yes, 102.
Wait, who is this?
Estelle Goldsmith was one of the original people that helped work on the trustees of the board for the museum. And she's still alive.
Really?
She turned 100 2 years ago. She's 102 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
102.
Yeah.
I always say I'm not getting past the 70s.
Don't say that.
I can't see it. I can't see it. But man, God bless her. 102. God bless her.
But now we're fortunate. You got people like Ethan Reese who are young.
Ethan.
So it's not just people who are on the board are older now, but we're bringing in, or at least making an effort to bring in people that are younger.
Yeah.
So there are some people that know their history. Ethan's one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. And what's great about Ethan, too, is his look at history is more from the post-war years of East Brunswick. And I have to admit, the earlier book that was focused on the earlier history of East Brunswick. And the later one looks at the post-war years. And that's really a testament to Ethan's work and his area of interest. And when you think about East Brunswick's history, that's also the time period of some of the greatest change in our town is the post-war years. I mean, the population, doubles, triples during that time period.
Exactly.
And the developments that take place. I mean, we're really a continuum of those post-war years.
Wow. Listen, guys, I'm telling you, I'm swarming here in history. I can't even believe this. I don't
If
think
you actually go and look at, because they published the population changes in all towns. That's a
that's right. They got to put that out. That's right.
And you will see it's late 50s, 60s, early 70s. That was our largest and rise in population. And so people talk about COVID and the people that moved here. It's nothing compared to what happened then.
Wow. What's the most interesting fact that a reader could take from your book? Is there one thing that pops out where you're like, man, I hope that they get this that I put in the book that you stumbled upon here in East Brunswick?
Well, ultimately, I mean, the way I look at it, history is fascinating because it's the story of people, of places, and events. And I think that's what the books try and capture. I mean, these are, they were people just like you and me, right, that lived in this town. They had their dreams, their jobs, their ambitions, right? They're long gone, and we're trying to capture that history and the story in these books. I mean, we talked about, the earlier mayors, right? I mean, they're people just like you and me, right? They had a passion about the town and a commitment to it. And I think their stories worth telling.
Gotcha. What's one of your favorite artifacts here in the museum?
That's a great question. I like it all, but
like when I walked in, I remember being a kid and going to school and seeing some of my friends wear the East Brunswick Golden Bears football jackets. And when I walked in, I could see that there high on the shelf, and I'm like, oh my God! It's just like it took me back to when I was like a little kid, and I remember saying to my mom, like I wanted to play football just to get a jacket. My mother was like, "You're not playing football," but I really just wanted that jacket, and there it was staring at me as soon as I walked in.
Yeah, I like the photographs we have. We also have paintings by a well-known artist, James Crawford Tom. He was a 19th century artist, and for a time he lived in East Brunswick, and he painted local scenes. He painted one of the early schoolhouses, and the children out in front of the schoolhouse are having, it was a winter's day, right? There's snow on the ground, so what do children do when they come out of school on a winter's day with snow all over the ground? They have a snowball fight.
Yep.
He captured that, right?
That's great.
So yeah, and those are, it's just a great painting, a slice of a point in time.
Well, this has been great. I'm really enjoying being here and seeing all the artifacts here, hearing the history between the mayor and yourself. This is quite fascinating.
I think it's also a good thing to do this from here. There's a ton of people that have moved in town over the last couple of years. I don't think they even know that this part of the township exists.
No, listen, I kind of think about the same thing. Even on my drive here today, it's such a little niche, of East Brunswick. You're right. There's so much more outside of the historic area that how many people that are living here today know that this history, exists. It's. Did you do class trips here?
They have started that again. We did many years ago. There were a lot of the third graders came here, and they're kind of splitting their time between here and other locations as well. But yeah. But the museum does what it can as a volunteer organization to educate folks about the town's history. It's
very cool. All right, guys, we got to take another quick little break. This is another look in and around East Brunswick, and when we get back, Mark, you've got some fun facts for us. Right, and I also like to dive into like some celebrities that have come out of East Brunswick. I mean, you are the true historian. We got to open up that brain of yours. We want to see what's inside there.
We do have celebrities.
I can't wait to hear all about them. I want to hear all about every single one of them. All right, guys, it is another in and around East Brunswick. We'll be right back with more buzz about East Brunswick coming up next. Hey East Brunswick, this is a friendly reminder from the East Brunswick Public Works Recycling Division about curbside recycling. No plastic bags, please. Please empty recyclables directly into the bin. Please recycle all of your cans, glass, plastics, paper, cardboard, and newspaper. Do not recycle greasy food containers, shredded paper, batteries, cords, pots, pans, or small appliances curbside. Those belong in the garbage or proper drop-off. Let's keep East Brunswick clean and green. For more info, please call 732-390-6984 or visit eastbrunswick.org. All right, and another round of the buzz about East Brunswick. Mr. Mayor, what do you think so far?
I think it's great. I told you, I love history.
You do. You are a history buff. What were you saying during our last in and around East Brunswick about how, some people, we kind of take it for granted, like where we're living here in East Brunswick, and we don't know what was there before us?
Well, a lot of the names of schools, the names of roads, the names of sections of town, they have meaning.
Yeah.
They date back to real people or real places that may have lost. People today don't know what it traces back to. The whole Appleby Farm. Appleby was a person, there's a reason that it was named that. Gordon's Corner, Warnsdorfer, Balmonroe. These names didn't just get pulled out of the air. They all trace back to people that were active and important parts of the township, but many years ago.
You know what? You bring up a very valid point. I grew up in East Brunswick, right by Chittick School Grammar School, and on Churchill Road. But I don't know how it got Churchill Road. I don't know who decided to name it.
Churchill, I think, was actually named after Winston Churchill. I don't think that's an East Brunswick
Okay.
person. But years ago, and this is many years ago, my wife was seeing a patient in her office, and her last name was Warnsdorfer.
Okay.
And she was about 100 at the time, so given that was over 20 years ago, I doubt she's still alive. But she was talking about how her father-in-law was the Warnsdorfer that the school's named after. And she remembers being in East Brunswick when Riders Lane was a dirt road.
Wow.
And Route 18, I think, had just formed. Maybe it was a one-lane road. It was nothing like what we see it as today.
Right.
And that just puts a little bit of a flavor on how far we've come over time. A lot of the developments that people live in were people's farms. And when they were built, there were probably people running and yelling and screaming to the planning and zoning boards, if they even existed then. Well, we don't want them here. We don't want, it's going to change the character of the town. And so the traffic.
Right. Everybody.
Do you think those lines that are unique to today?
They were talking about traffic then. They're still talking about traffic now. Exactly. On the horse and buggies, they're like, there's
back
a
to
lot
traffic.
of horse and buggies out here. There's a lot of going on.
But we're in a great part of the country. We're very strategically located in New Jersey, equally distant between New York and Philadelphia, easy to get to Boston, to DC, and everything's at your fingertips. There's a reason why when the Turnpike extension was extended in the 1950s under Eisenhower, it was much easier to get to East Brunswick from places that might have been harder to reach before. It changed the history of East Brunswick.
Well, we are sitting.
Got the historian.
We are exactly. We are sitting and living inside history today, podcasting from the East Brunswick Museum, right here on Maple Street. When are the hours here? I know we're gonna. What are the hours of the museum?
Yeah, so the museum is open normally on the weekends from 1 to 4. But the website to go to is eastbrunswickmuseum.org, and that's where folks can get all the information they need.
Mark Nonesteid, who's written 2 books about East Brunswick, also runs the museum here, a historian of East Brunswick. So why don't we go through that? We were talking about, the mayor and I have been sitting here talking about street names, some of the lakes, some of the celebrities that have come through here. Where would you like to begin?
Sure. The mayor brought up an excellent point, too, about location, right?
Yeah.
East Brunswick, it's location, right? That sort of centrally located is something that's been integral to the town's success since day one, right? In the post-war years, it's that connection with the automobile and the New Jersey Turnpike. But earlier, there's overland routes that come through here and also the transport by water. Of course, this area of the town borders the South River, and there were sailing vessels that came up. It's crazy to think we have a maritime history here that goes back to the 1700s.
Interesting.
And there were sailing vessels that came up, and the farmers would bring their produce to the docks along the South River and load them up onto those sailing vessels that were bound for the markets in New York and along other eastern seaboard communities. And that's how those farmers made their money. They were able to connect their goods to the markets, and it's that location to those major market areas is one of the earlier parts of the success of this
Don't
area.
sleep on East Brunswick, man.
Continues
Man,
today.
it's done a lot. It's done its part in history. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the South River that runs right along here of East Brunswick and what it was used for back in the day.
Yeah, I think there were folks that lived in East Brunswick in addition to farmers, right? There were ship captains that lived here as well. There was shipbuilding that took place also here.
It's hard for people to even imagine that.
It really is. It really is.
Although this is the section of town, it's the lowest lying, which makes sense. That's why it floods, and it's really bad. This section can flood more than any other. And so when you hear about things like that, all of a sudden start to think back in history, it's not so far-fetched to think that there were tributaries of the Raritan that made that success accessible from here.
Yeah, you go from the South River to the Raritan River, right, to Raritan Bay in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah.
Very cool. Listen, there's a lot. I went to Chittick School. What can you tell me about Chittick School and where the name came from? Who's behind Chittick School?
Sure. Named after Murray Chittick, who lived here in this district on Main Street. In fact, the house he grew up in is still standing on Main Street. Yeah. His father was George Chittick. His grandmother Sarah was a school teacher actually in the 19th century, the mid 19th century. But he was sort of the equivalent of like the superintendent of schools, and that's where Chittick School gets its name from. We actually have photographs of Murray Chittick in both books. Yeah.
That's so cool. I feel like I went to a very prominent grammar school. I'd say Chittick.
And the major road that crossed through East Brunswick at the time was not Route 18. It was
right. Well, the Old Bridge Turnpike.
Old Bridge Turnpike.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great kind of I think segue into talking about Route 18 because I did want to
wait. Hold on. Tell me. So Route 18 was not Route 18, and Old Bridge Turnpike was the major highway.
Yes. Before Route 18, right?
Wow.
So look, here's a fun thing to do. All right. Well. We can depending on the traffic on Route 18, right? So if you drive down Route 18, okay, Route 18 is our major artery,
right?
And Route 18 was originally I think 1927, sometime in the late 20s, so about 100 years old, right? And it was this corridor going north to New Brunswick, going south. There was a traffic circle near Route 516, and it would give you points going towards the shore. Right, so it's sort of this connection to point south in the shore and going north towards There
was a circle all the way down at the bottom there. I know exactly what you're talking about. There was a circle there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. It's originally called State Highway 28. That was the original number designation up until I think 1953 when it became Route 18. It was originally a 3-lane highway. With one lane going north, another lane going south, and of course the middle lane was the passing lane, which folks also called the chicken lane, the suicide lane, right?
Because could you imagine cars coming back at you on both sides? Yeah. That's crazy to me. Wow, think about that.
You would never do that today because people are totally impatient.
Wow. Think about that. Wow.
Yeah, and then it's widened to the major artery that it is today. And of course, in the post-war years, it becomes the kind of the commercial district, right? I mean, before the war, you're driving through farmland, and then after the war, the malls spring up, and many of the commercial establishments spring up as more and more development comes to East Brunswick. But so then, you're writing about 100 years of history. So then go over to the Old Bridge Turnpike.
Yeah,
it's about 200 years old. Right, and it's serving in the same capacity. It's the route towards New Brunswick, and it's the route towards point south to Matawan and along the shore.
Right.
And as the name suggests, it's a turnpike. You have to pay a toll to travel on it. And this was an English system that came over to encourage road building, to sustain the roads and the maintenance of them, to charge a toll that would go back into the maintenance of the road. So now here's the other part.
How about that? Look, we got Mark on a roll now. Now Mark, I can see the gears turning. He's like now we're diving in.
You can drive down 250 years of history, right? Yeah. 100 years on Route 18. Go over to the Old Bridge Turnpike. Take a drive. It's an improved road. They're both kind of these straight. You can see it on the Old Bridge Turnpike. These straight, stretches of the road that was designed purposely, not by accident. Was an improvement over colonial roads, which were often windy. And so go over to River Road.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which skirts up.
I was just going to say right by where we are now.
Ends up into South River. That's the colonial era road. That's the road from before the American Revolution, from the 1700s, that came out of this neighborhood, wound along the South River in a very winding way. In fact, if you drive on it, there's still some of the...
Yeah, right, it winds around. Yeah, it does.
The twists and curves on there and into South River.
Yeah, you always wonder, why does it twist and turn all the time? It's like, it's all over the place, right? Yeah.
And who knows? It was following an old property line, or there was a tree that fell down that they had to go around, right?
Right, who knows?
That was very typical of the colonial road. So, you have almost 250 years of transportation history between New Brunswick, and point south, between River Road, first, Colonial Road, Old Bridge Turnpike, and then Route 18.
If you actually go into the cemetery that's right up the road here, you'll see that there's people that lived here.
Oh, I'm sure.
Date back to the colonial times that are buried there.
Oh, I'm sure.
So there's a massive history just walking through that cemetery.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about East Brunswick High School? Was it always where it is today?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
I
always
mean,
been a high school.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's been smaller, obviously, to where it is today. But I'm saying, but that has always been the central location of East Brunswick High School.
Right. Yes, and a lot of our school is a product of the post-war years and the development. There is a school system in place before that's earlier that dates back to the mid-19th century. In fact, we still have standing in the township a one-room schoolhouse from 1849, as well as the second generation of schoolhouses, which were these brick buildings. There's one on Cosman Street that was built in 1908. But yeah, there's a fascinating history with the schools as well. But we're talking about some of the farmer names also.
Yeah, yes.
Ruse Lane, where the Brunswick Square Mall was the old Rue Farm. And so, Ruse Lane in essence was, the road that went to the Rue Farm.
So was the mall a farm?
Yes.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
It was the Rue Farm historically in the 19th century. I think it was Asher Rue was the name.
Wow.
Riders Lane went to the Ryder Farm, which was at the end of Riders Lane where Sears used to be. They took it down and built something there.
Yep.
And then other roads. Cranberry Road was. It's called the Cranberry South River Road. It was originally, South River was known as Washington before the name changed, so it was the Washington Cranberry Road. It dates back to the early 1800s, and it was a way to tap into the peach trade in Cranberry and bring all of this fruit and produce from Cranberry and the outlying area directly to docks that were at that time in South River.
Interesting.
And
so everything came back this way.
Yeah.
This is where all of the major shipping was all here.
Because the tributaries of the Raritan actually ended up right.
Right.
Yeah.
And the railroad was right down the street over here.
Yeah.
The
Right?
railroad's still there.
Yeah, that's right.
First railroad in the state of New Jersey. It was the Camden and Amboy Railroad. It was chartered, I think, in 1830 or 32, and it's the first railroad in the state of New Jersey. Ran from Camden to South Amboy and had a stop right here in what would become East Brunswick.
What about some celebrities that have come through these the history of East Brunswick? Give me the backstories of some celebrities.
All right, so. I'm going to answer it this way.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little philosophical about it too. So
it's going to be you, Greg.
Yeah, me. Right, please. Out of all the major celebrities. Yeah.
And it's we're going to go way back to the American Revolution. So after the Battle of Monmouth, one of the strategic battles during the American Revolution, George Washington engaged with the British just outside of Freehold in Monmouth County. But after the war, the American Army ended up in New Brunswick, where they celebrated actually one of the earliest Independence Days. The second anniversary of American independence was celebrated in New Brunswick and along the Raritan River. But Washington and his army would have had to have traveled through what's now East Brunswick, right? So if we're talking about celebrities,
so George Washington marched here? How about that?
And these troops marched through here and probably passed through very near where we're sitting.
How cool!
There's some anecdotal evidence that he camped at the old bridge, which you talked about earlier, which was one of the bridges to span the South River, and then again kind of passed through this way going to New Brunswick. But what I also want to point out is that the Army that had just won this pivotal battle. Right? These ordinary people that did an extraordinary thing in American history in the fight for our independence. Right? These folks, farmers, laborers, merchants, African-American soldiers, the 1st Rhode Island, which was an all-African-American regiment, served at the Battle of Monmouth, women, right? They all flowed through this area, probably went up River Road, that Colonial Road, into New Brunswick. And so that's my celebrity. But to me, I want to point out that also everyday people who did extraordinary stuff.
Gotcha.
They're celebrities in their own right because they laid the foundation for and they fought for the rights we have today and our nation that we have today.
So now let's get back into today. So now, do we have any kind of artifacts here from any kind of like legit celebrity that came through these doors here? What do we have here?
So that's a great question.
Not George Washington. And I don't want to take it away from George Washington.
Right. So we do have our Hall of Fame.
Okay.
In one of the cases of which you're both proudly.
We're there now.
You're
Mr. Mayor, we're in it now.
You're part of history. You're part of history there. So my look at that is, we've had some authors actually going back to the 1800. Henrietta Christian Wright, who was a well-known. The main name might not sound as familiar today as it did.
Well, anybody today,
150 years
anybody
ago.
today.
Yeah, I don't. That's a good question. I will. I'll defer to your thoughts on that.
Well, we have the Heather O'Reilly.
That, of
Heather
course, right?
O'Reilly.
We always go back. Of course.
People like that. We've had some
Yeah.
playwrights that have come out of here, some actors that have come out of here. We also have some athletes like Heather, Sam Mattis. So we've got a bunch, and the schools are doing a good job now of recognizing some of them, and their pictures now grace the walls.
Oh, that's great.
Of the high school.
Okay.
So I think that we're doing a better job now, at least of recognizing.
Trying to
some of
yeah, I
those
got
people.
that.
But I think that what you forgot in that whole battle scene thing coming through here was the Bennett's Island thing that Ann Alvarez did a whole thing about. It's a small island. But you can't. It is East Brunswick officially. It's where a major battle took place before reaching New Brunswick, and the island still exists. We just recently put up a monument for it, but you can't see it from East Brunswick because that's on the other side of the landfill.
Okay.
So the only way to actually see Bennett's Island is to see it from Edison.
Gotcha. But that's pretty cool. That's interesting too.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I've been the one when you say don't sleep on East Brunswick. I've been snoring on it, man. I did not realize how important it really was, man. I'm like, I'm going to leave here today a little bit more proud of East Brunswick. I think so. I'm learning a lot about it. Very cool. All right, guys. One more stop down to go in and around East Brunswick, and when we get back, just a little bit more here with Mark Nonesteid here of the East Brunswick Museum.
My name is Dave Mummy. I'm the general manager at Tamarack Golf Course. If you're looking for good golf in East Brunswick, this is where it's at. We renovated the East Golf Course 4 years ago, and it opened 2 years ago, and we renovated the West over the last 2 years. In renovating both golf courses, we changed the irrigation, the drainage, we revamped all the greens, tee boxes, bunkers, and we did the fairways on the West Golf Course. We have two 18-hole golf courses, both championship golf courses. This is a driving range open to the public for all ages and skill levels, for people to come and work on their game.
All right, guys, we're having a great time live from the East Brunswick Museum. It is the buzz about East Brunswick. And again, Mr. Mayor, we have to keep your microphone on at all times because you're such a historian. You just told us something else.
I'm not the historian. I just like history.
I get that Mark Nonesteid, he's really good at this. He really is. Watch out. What were you just saying about East Brunswick being like one of the most bordered cities or towns?
In the state of New Jersey, we have the most borders of any township. We have 11 borders.
11. Wow, I can't. So all I can think of is like Old Bridge, Saraville, South River. What else?
South Brunswick, North Brunswick.
Oh my
Milltown,
God, I just drew a blank.
Right?
Milltown, that's right.
Monroe.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's right. Spotswood.
Spotswood.
Holy, you're so right. Again, I am Hillmeta. I am snoozing, man, on East Brunswick. God, I'm really bad. I got to kick myself out of here. I do not deserve to be sitting at this table in the museum. I have to kick myself out. Mark, this has been really a fun journey and refreshing and a breath of fresh air sitting here talking to you. What else can you tell us about the museum here and how folks can find out more information?
Sure. So, in fact, there's some fun upcoming events that the museum sponsors.
Do tell.
Yeah, one is it's sort of an innovative tour of Chestnut Hill Cemetery. It's held in October 18th and 19th this year from 5 to 8:30. It's sort of self-guided. The cemetery is from the 1800s, and some of the museum volunteers will give these first-person narrations of individuals that are buried there. And the pathways in the cemetery are lit with candles in bags. There's about 500 or 600 of them that snake their way through the cemetery. And so,
that's cool.
So you come there, you go down these candlelit paths, and you meet people from history who talk about their lives and their.
That
their
is
story.
wild.
Yeah.
That's real neat.
It's a great way to bring history to life. again, during a time of year when cemeteries are often cast as these spooky places, right?
Yeah.
They're really places of our community and of educating.
And it's perfect timing right
It's
there.
a little spooky though.
Yeah,
They do it at
yeah.
night, and
Right.
it's kind of, but it is fun, and the
Yeah.
kids really actually love it.
That's the perfect time to do it. Wow. And again, the operating hours of this museum, so that when people, if they would love to be here, when can they come
it's
by?
open on the weekends. For information about the tour and all information about the museum, the website is eastbrunswickmuseum.org.
Okay, that's easy enough to remember. eastbrunswickmuseum.org. Got it. Got that down. Mr. Mayor?
You like that, huh?
I think we did a great job here today, and I learned a lot. I learned that I need to learn a lot more about East Brunswick. I have taken this place for granted. I really have. I feel bad. I apologize. East Brunswick, I apologize. If you're listening in these hallowed halls of the museum, I apologize.
Well,
but it's been a lot of fun.
I think it's the beauty of it is you just need to have a healthy sense of respect that we stand on the shoulders of people that came here before us.
Yep, you're right.
And should learn a little bit about them because their history is interesting.
Yeah.
And history repeats itself.
On that note, I mean, can you say anything else? Mark Nonesteid, again, author of East Brunswick Through the Years, and also East Brunswick, the early days.
Yep, and along with Ethan Reese. Yep.
With Ethan Reese as well. Thank you very much for having us today.
Thank
This has
you.
been a great podcast. We really had
Thanks,
a good time.
Mark.
Thank you.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week for episode 19 of The Buzz About East Brunswick. I'm Greg T. That's Mayor Cohen. Ready to go? We're
Fist
out of
bump.
here. Fist bump. Later on, guys.